don't get along with Aquarius. And so I was looking up the horoscope, the compatibility,
Mm-hmm.
and it says that we're compatible, but I'm just like, every Aquarius that I come in contact with, I do not get along with them. And I'm just like, why?
I
I'm a
wonder.
Gemini, by the
Okay.
way.
Well, that's both air, but it has a different way of relating. So, I mean, it could just be like my daughter's an Aquarius, and I have a lot of Gemini aspects, and
Mhm.
we've been bumping heads since what? How old is she? 7 since 2013. But we finally, I think we figured it out this morning before she went to school. It was like I just told her, I said, I'm tired of fighting with you, and she was like, I don't want to fight with you either. And I was like, bet. But I think you may have some aspects in your own chart that are like Aquarian in nature, and you're not embodying that and being in that space, which is like, don't give a fuck,
Yeah.
and that could be triggering to you too, because you're like maybe a little more rigid, you
Yeah,
know.
I would say so. Because I'm just thinking about the relationships that I have with Aquarius, and they're really like, I wouldn't say that they don't give a fuck, but like, I don't feel like they're as mindful of other people. You know what I mean? Like, they their only concern is themselves. I know that's selfish, but but it's like it's to another level, like, yeah, you should care about yourself and you should protect yourself and you should put yourself first. But it's like when it comes to other people, they just don't care. But they pretend like they do. That's what pisses me off.
Yeah, I mean they're humanitarian in nature, which is like, they sometimes seeks to benefit the greater good, but they're unemotional on
Yeah.
some level. So like they're
Mhm.
not going to care if you are affected by their truth.
Yeah. Right.
It's like this I'm unbothered, you
Right.
know.
Yeah.
And I think we could all probably benefit a little bit from taking in some of that, cuz like just like what we're going to talk about today, like my daughter does not worry about what people think about her,
Yeah.
you know.
Mhm. That's a good trait to have for sure. I'm gonna work on that in
Let me tell you
2021.
about the facts of life.
Take the good, take the bad, take the both. There you have the facts of life. The facts of life. Take the good, take the bad.
Welcome everybody back to another episode of Facts of Life. I'm your host Zakia, and
And I am unofficial official co-host Michelle Sheba.
yes, nice to see you again.
It is always nice to see you, dear. And even though we are not together, we are in spirit.
Yes, ma'am. I need everybody to subscribe and download the podcast. And I need y'all to leave a review. This is important to me and to the podcast. For if you like an episode, if you hear something that touches your soul or spirit, please leave a review and let me know what you think. Whether it's on Instagram, I would prefer for it to be like on Apple. I think Apple is the only place you can leave reviews, huh? Like
Yeah,
on the app.
yeah. And
Spotify doesn't let you do that. Oh, SoundCloud, but I took the podcast off SoundCloud for now.
well, if you're not getting no action, why keep doing it?
Right. Well, I liked it, and then I started getting in these clubhouse room podcasts and clubhouse rooms, and they were talking about different, hosting sites that you could use for the podcast.
Hmm.
So I'm just trying something out to see how it works out, and if it doesn't, then we're gonna go back to the Soundy Cloud.
What
Um,
are you what did you switch to?
I switched to Anchor for right now.
Okay. I think
And
I'm on Acast.
you said you're on what?
Acast used to be Pippa.
Okay, I don't think I've ever heard of that.
Yeah, they have something now. They keep popping up telling me I can put an ad in for people to donate. I'm like, child, I need to line my stuff out before I start asking for money.
Right. Yeah, that's another thing that they were talking about in the rooms is like Anchor puts in ads and stuff. I don't know. I'm gonna figure it out. And we gonna work from there. But for now, Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Google Play. Please make sure that you are subscribing and downloading the podcast, sharing with your friends, etc., etc. All right, so let's get into living my best life. So I'm gonna update y'all. It's been a while. It's been a month. Happy New Year. So-called New Year. Because we know that I know that the new year is in the spring, but this is the Georgian calendar. So it's 2021, whatever. Happy 2021. Yay!
Yay, we made it to another version of 2020.
Right. Period. Facts.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna let y'all know what's been going down basement with me. So I'm no longer at my job, which I'm very relieved about. And I'm not gonna go into details on how or why, but I'm not there anymore. And that's the good thing. I was right before we got on, here, I was looking in my journal because I had started journaling. So sometimes, well, I shouldn't say sometimes, a lot of times I go back and read old journal entries just to see like where I was at. And I was writing so much about this job. Like I was so depressed about being there. And it was taking a toll on my life. It was changing my attitude, like whatever. And I know that I am in control of my own destiny, but at that time, I couldn't figure out how to control my destiny and my, life, because it was just like, it was so much conflict and nonsense and drama going on at my job. And I couldn't. So I'm glad that I'm no longer there. I've been getting some freelance clients, so I'm excited about that. I do want to go back to work. I am still looking for a job because one of the things that I talked about with my therapist, because we have been before all this went down, we have been discussing, do I want stability or do I want freedom? And I want stability right now and freedom. I know entrepreneurship comes with freedom, and like just having a few freelance clients, like it's cool, but it's like, I still want the stability. Mm-hmm. Like the freedom is cool, but I want the stability before I am full on free out in the wind. Like I need a little bit more before I could become a full-time freedom writer. But that's been going good. I went on my first date. All
right.
I went on my first date. The last date I went on was March of 2020. So this was my first date in almost about a year, which it was cool. Like, the guy was nice. I ended up telling him, like, I don't want to continue because he was an atheist.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Well, not oh no, but
yeah. And then when he told me that, I was like, okay, this is interesting, and I asked him like if he would ever be open to like learning about, or be open to having a relationship with God. And he said, yeah. And I was like, okay, maybe I could look past it or whatever. But then like when we went out and we were just, talking or whatever, and even like the couple of conversations we had over the phone, I could tell that he wasn't going to be supportive of
Your journey.
my journey, and that is important to me where I'm at right now. Like, I don't need you to be making comments about what I'm doing and whatever. Cause like I told him I had got a reading because I got a reading last week, and he was like, "Oh, are you a hippie?" And I'm just like, whatever.
Like, you're not in no position to be talking about what somebody believe in, as you have zero faith. I mean, and that's fine, but
Yeah, he was cool, but he was a nice guy. But nice ain't good enough for me at this point. And I've also been, like I said, I got a reading done, so I've been, tapping into my spirituality and just trying to figure out what works for me, where I'm at in my life. So I've been learning a little bit about astrology. I'm still pretty new and a beginner, but I don't know. I'm excited, and I'm ready to see what the rest of the year has in store for me.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I'm proud of you for going on the date.
You said what?
I'm proud of you for going on the date.
Yeah, I'm proud of me too. I was just like, even if nothing comes from this, I wanted to like start,
Right.
putting myself out there because I follow this lady on Instagram, my week, and she's the owner of Curlbox, and
Yeah.
she talks a lot about, because she was single for a really long time, and then she just got, I would say in the last 5 years, she, got into a serious relationship. She had a couple of babies or whatever, but she talks a lot about her time being single.
Mm-hmm.
And she was saying like dating is something that you almost have to practice.
Yeah.
Like, if you're a basketball player, football player, like you practice before you get into the game. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, this is practice, tryouts. And I know that this time around with dating, I want to have fun.
Right.
Like, and if niggas are not providing that, I don't want to be bothered.
Absolutely. Well, I also, since we last met, I did go on a date. Remember, I think I was telling you, I'm not sure if I told the public, but I think maybe I told you, it was an older white guy.
Yeah.
And so, like you, I did not feel aligned with that, but I did go because, like you, I am energetically putting myself in a position to receive that experience of dating and, doing that sort of thing. Because, I had cut myself off from it and said, I'm not dating, I'm healing, I'm doing me. And I think it's very important to continue that work as you are dating. So I did go on the date and we had a really cool conversation about spirituality. And he gave me this tip about visualizing like healing and that kind of stuff. So like it was cool. Like he said his mom used to teach this method in the 90s or something. So I guess that's how he got it. Yeah. And I felt like even though like I wasn't like romantically interested in him, I got what I needed out of the encounter, which is that, there are men who are open to hearing about psychic experiences and like understanding like my journey, even if they are not participating in it. So I guess I'm saying that to say too, like, it sounds like, oh boy, the atheist was a little bit immature, but there might be somebody who's not necessarily on your exact path who can be a good partner for you as long as they are open to that.
Right.
Additionally, I have decided that I'm going to do group coaching. While I do like one-on-one coaching, I think, and this has come out just like being on Clubhouse, because every morning, like I do my room and people come in and they get what they need and they leave out. And I'm like, it's much better to be building a community, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think when people are looking for healing, which is what I'm offering, they feel like maybe they can't be all the way vulnerable or open with just the coach, because they're like, well, you've already done it, so you won't understand where I'm coming from. So if you bring others on the same level, they all feel like they are building some sort of camaraderie and community there. Right. And the thing I want to express just is that like your teachers, your mentors, your healers, they are still practicing the same stuff. It's just that now we can easily go and grab the thing and say, okay, well, I need to adjust this, or I need to reframe this, whatever it is. So I just have allowed myself to step back from trying so much to run my business and like just fall back and allow the creator to place in front of me the next steps, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I have a lot going on with my daughter. We're just coming out of doing an ADOS test, which is like an examination that kind of gives you some scoring for autism, because she has been in a special needs program at school, but it hasn't really been what she really needs. And so like doing that will allow me to really advocate for her, because I'm like, she don't need to be doing this. Y'all don't need to be trying to grade her on this scale. You
Right.
need to adjust it for her because she does have different needs. So that's
Right.
really what we've been doing, as well as basketball for my son. So
That's
a
good.
lot.
That's good. I'm glad that you got that test done because, and it's been a while since I've been in the school system, but I know being in the school system, and this was in Connecticut, like you really have to speak up for, your children. And that's one thing like my mom was good at. She would speak up for us, and she would come down to the school and be like, nope, I'm not leaving until X, Y, and Z is completed or we get something done because y'all not gonna play with me. And it's like you have to do that because a lot of not a lot, but there may be like a few rotten apples in the education system that are there for money and they don't really care. So I'm glad that you
Mhm.
got that test done.
Yeah, I mean, and I was sharing with a one of my, I guess that's like a show on Clubhouse, but I was sharing with him this morning that he was talking a little bit about an experience that he had where the school was talking about his daughter and ADHD, but he was kind of feeling like, he didn't want to label it. And I was like, well, let me tell you, I've been on both sides, because with my son, I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to accept it. I didn't want to label him. And then he had to repeat fourth grade. And then there was all these different implications in regards to his self-esteem. And then what were we going to do? And so when my daughter started presenting signs of having, I hate to use the word disability, but differences,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I'm not going to hold on to that. I don't want to accept that my child is different here,
Right.
because I'm like, I already did that and I already see how that worked out for me. So I'm just going to say first of all, there's nothing wrong with being different.
Right.
So we have to accept that, but I want to know what it is so that I can find the tools for it,
Right.
because I
Yeah.
think a lot of mostly Black people don't want to accept that there are differences in their kids, because then they feel like, was it me? Is something wrong with me that I'm having this experience? But no, I mean, everybody comes here to have an individual experience. And sometimes for whatever you want to grow on the soul level, you have to have those kinds of experiences.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you're advocating and figuring out different tools to help your children.
I'm doing my best. I can't say that I'm perfect or that I'm always like, yeah, because I'm human and sometimes I get tired.
Right,
I'm by myself. So it's like, okay, I'm over here doing this and I'm over here doing this. And then I'm trying to work and I'm trying to coach. And I mean, like sometimes I just need to go lay down,
right.
you know?
I hear you.
Yep.
I'm probably gonna lay down after this too. 'Cause like I did, I was really productive this morning, and I deserve.
Okay. And you should.
Yeah.
And
Um.
we should let ourselves take breaks, you know?
Yeah. Um. That's one of the things that she said in my reading last week is to just, if you're gonna, when you chill out, just chill out. Don't do nothing. Don't try to clean. Don't try to fold your clothes.
Mhm.
Don't try to reorganize your closet. Just chill. And I haven't gotten to that point in my life where it's like I could just sit and do nothing and be okay with that.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
know, I see that in clients sometimes. And I mean, I saw it in myself. A lot of time we will keep ourselves busy because that still silence is like, you fucking up.
Yeah.
Or like, no, that ain't what I told you to do. You know,
Right.
so it's like
Yeah.
busy ourselves to avoid the truth a lot.
Right.
But
Yeah.
it's okay.
Yeah. I would say I wrote that down. When I was looking through my journal, I was like, you're avoiding. You're doing all these things to avoid what really is, you know, and I'm working on it, working through.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into the facts about why do you care? What did I say?
What people think.
Why do you care?
Okay.
And I wanted to bring this up or talk about this because okay. So, you know, I had not an incident, but there was a instance where I was talking to one of my friends about my job. This was months ago. And when I was telling her what was going on, I felt like she was kind of like dismissing me. And she has a different view about working than I do. And
what is her view?
She is an entrepreneur. Well, she doesn't have a traditional 9-to-5 job, and she is an advocate for people having freedom and not having to depend on an income from a job.
Okay.
And so I was battling internally about that because I've said for so long that, you know, I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I want freedom. I don't want to work for other people or whatever. And I had to work through all of that. And that's why my therapist is like, okay, so do you want stability or freedom? Because with entrepreneurship comes freedom. But with the job, you have stability because, you know, you have a paycheck every 2 weeks or every week, whatever, how it goes. And so, but it was heavy on my heart. And I was like, really like, you know, I had to think about like, why do I care about what other people think about what I'm doing? You know, when they are not providing any financial assistance to my life, no food, no shelter, and it's no shade, you know, but I'm not dependent on a friend or a family member. So I started listening. Oh, and then my therapist, she also was like, okay, figure out what your values are too. And so I started listening to the audiobooks, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. And that's one of the things he said in the book was like, the reason why you care about what other people think is because you don't know what your values are. Right. And once you figure that out, you know, you will understand that not everybody has the same values as you. And you will start to care less about what other people think because we're not on the same page. We don't want the same things, you know? And it's like, it's not up to me to figure out what your values are. And then I don't know, do you listen to Abraham Hicks?
Yeah, that's my girl.
Okay. So I listened to her podcast too. And, you know, I just go through random episodes. And the episode that I came across was the guy, he said to her, other people's opinions should have no bearing on my life. And then he proceeded to go on about how he values the opinion of one person. And she was just like, why? You know, right. And then he was like, he respects their opinion, and then went on to tell us about how this person is always putting him down with their opinions. So I'm just like, why do you care so much? You know, like that's what I've been thinking about lately, because I also when you know I left my job, I felt the immediate feeling of disappointment. And I felt disappointed because of you know, I have been telling all my friends, like, I want to do things differently with finding a job. Like, I don't want to just quit, you know, and not have another something else lined up or whatever. I'm gonna do things different. I'm gonna do things different, right? This time around with jobs, I'm gonna do things different, whatever. And so when things went down at my job, I felt disappointed. I'm like, damn, if I tell my friends, they're gonna be disappointed in me. You know what I mean? Because they have been supportive, or you know, I've created a support system with my friends that, okay, like, look, this is what I'm going through at my job, and like everybody's like, stick it out, don't quit, or whatever, blah blah blah. And I'm just like, and I was holding on for them. I would say that, and my mom too. My mom was in my ear like, oh, don't quit. And so yeah, it was tough. And so that's why I'm just like, I'm at the point where it's like, I gotta stop caring about what other people think.
Right.
Yeah, I gotta stop caring about what other people think. And so my first question is, what makes you happy?
Me?
Yeah.
Dancing, cards, music, walks outside, food, sex, reading, writing, reading people's charts, talking to people about their energy, helping others. A lot of things make me happy, but I think the turning point for me was when I realized that what I was really looking for was not necessarily happiness, but joy. So it's like, for me, happiness signifies something that comes from outside, whereas joy to me is from inside. So like, I just had to redefine who I was and what I saw for my life. Because, you know, like you, I was like, well, everybody says you have to live like this, or everybody says you have to live like this. But the person that I was basing all that on is my mother, you know, because I don't really care what anybody thinks.
Yeah.
But she, you know.
Right.
And I mean, I'm still working through that every day. I'm like, that is not your voice. That is Jackie.
Right.
No.
Yeah. So do you feel like, I guess 2020, like when did you stop caring, or when did you come to the realization like, okay, I can't be thinking about what other people think or what my mom thinks?
I mean, it's been a progression.
Okay.
Because there are things that I have to hurdle over all the time, like in regards to like what I talk about, you know, because what I do is so, I wouldn't say it's so different, because like we both listen to Abraham Hicks. She channels the whole higher self.
Mm-hmm.
But in the beginning, I felt like I was being crushed by not doing what I felt called to do, which was to talk about the moon and to share my thoughts on planetary shifts and to channel spirit and say, this is what we are supposed to be moving through today as a collective and all this stuff. Like, I felt physically ill from operating in this, I'm just a buyer and a podcaster, because that's not all I am. Like, I can say I am whatever I say I am.
Right.
And so, I mean, it was a progression, because it's like I said, like every time you have to do something new, for me anyway, every time I have to do something new, I have to use those same steps to encourage myself, which it might be mirror work, where I go to the mirror and say something like, you a bad bitch. And you know you can do this, and it don't even matter what they think, because they're not doing it, you know?
Right.
So like, they're not brave. That's why they're encouraging you not to be brave.
Right.
you know.
Right.
So it was
But like,
probably in the middle.
when did the light click on for you though? When you were like, okay, I'm going to stop thinking about this person or what they think. Like, did an event happen? Like, what happened where it was just like, enough is enough?
Well, it was probably May. Well, March. Well, okay, so March. So I would make these videos. I was practicing this diary, which I do in the mornings, in the Patreon group. But I was practicing, and I was not confident to share it with the audience. So I would cut the stuff that was like important messages for people because I'm like, they're going to think that you're crazy.
Yeah.
So like, that's what I said. Like that was probably March. And I remember saying, you know, everybody is feeling some type of way. And I feel like, you know, there's going to be something that takes place at the end of the year, like that conjunction. Of course, I had no idea because I wasn't really looking at that time. I was just like feel stuff. So I was like, I feel like I need to look at the planets to see what they do so I know why I'm feeling like this. So I was like, yeah, there's going to be light. And if everybody raises their vibration and we all come to Christ consciousness, that would be like Jesus coming back and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh my God, I can't share this at all. So I was depressed because I knew that I was not doing what I was supposed to do. And then, you know, everything was changing and I felt sort of out of control. So that was like March to maybe like May. So in May, I was just like, okay, I have to get out of the fog and I have to allow myself to bloom. So I had a consultation with this guy. And when he came to me, he was talking about, you know, he had some fitness clothes he was trying to sell. But I was like, you want to be a coach of some sort. You want to do some kind of support for others. And he was like, yeah, you're right. And I was like, okay, I know, but okay. So he came to me after he had created this program. And I was like, well, I'll try it because I need to hit a new level. So I need something. So it was like this 21-day challenge. So every day, the thing that I was afraid to do at that time was to post on my Instagram about my business. So every day I posted some sort of like sales message to level up. And I got like this ignited feeling of self fulfillment from showing up for myself every day. Right. So I started taking care of myself and I was putting on my makeup and I was doing my hair, getting dressed, you know, because when you're depressed, you're like, I ain't doing shit. I'm going to be right over here in these sweatpants and I'm going to sit right on the couch or lay in my bed underneath the blanket. I'm not going to comb my hair. So don't even worry about it.
Right.
And I just started to encourage myself every day. Hey, you got to get up. You got to do it, you know? So at the end of that, I did end a relationship, which was like, oh, are you kidding me? I just found my flow. So then I had to go back again and find who I was in that space. And so like, that's really where I've been since like, I guess July.
Yeah.
So that's why I said it's a progression because, you know, for me, it's kind of like if I know I need to do something and I'm afraid of it or I feel discouraged, I will ask for whatever it is that I need to help me over the hump.
Yeah.
So I think I just had to recognize because my mom was the person, just like the guy in the podcast, you know, I had to recognize that like I'm not her.
Right.
I am me.
Right.
And I guess it was last week, maybe week before, you know, because I was really kind of on that because we had a lot of like mother wound healing in the last like month. And we went to Huntsville and somebody was like, you know, your mom was the most beautiful girl in school and she inspired me to become a dancer. And I was thinking, hey, she did the same thing for me. And I just realized that like I had her on a pedestal, you know, like she's just human.
Right.
She's not perfect. Just because I was a little girl
Right.
looking up at her like this great beauty
Right.
who was always flowing and doing her own thing, like she's not perfect.
Right.
So I don't have to try to be to meet her because I was trying to be perfect so I could be on her level, but she is not perfect.
Right.
You know, so like I can do whatever I need to do. Like she even said while we were at their house, I guess it was maybe like the week before, I asked her if she had a notebook so I could write in it. She's like, well, what do you want to write about? And I was like, well, I was writing this. I was getting the houses and the planets and just like I was making notes because I felt like I wanted to do that day.
Mm-hmm.
And she got on the phone with my aunt and she was like, she's becoming her father. And I'm like, you're damn right I am.
Mm-hmm.
Because I want to express my truth. You
Right.
know, my mom was really good at numerology and she used to draw the charts and my dad would read them, but she didn't allow herself to do that.
Mm.
So it's like me wanting to do it and step out as myself scared her. So like when I told her I read playing cards, she was like, well, make sure you're giving the glory to God. I'm like, as opposed to whom? Like what? Like, so that stopped me from moving forward in it because I was like, well, obviously it's disappointing to her, you
Right.
know,
Yeah.
but you know, like other people, my concern was never so much as what will they think of me, but I always thought other people disliked me
Mm.
naturally. So I would feel like when I show up in the room, everybody's gonna just be like, ugh, there she goes again.
Right.
You know, so I would vibrate there and be kind of like not standoffish, but maybe I was like try hard to
Mm-hmm.
like either act like I didn't care or to be a people pleaser.
Yeah.
So I mean, just over the course of the last 2 years, really, I kind of got to the point where I was like, pfft. I mean, if I'm going to fulfill my individual purpose, I have to do it as me.
Right. I'm glad that you brought up the relationship with your mother, and you know, you looking up to her and feeling as though she was, you know, perfect, because that's one of the reasons why I wanted to get readings done, because I have reconnected with this girl I went to undergrad with, and you know, when I moved here, our communication completely stopped, and you know, I was feeling some type of way about it or whatever, but I put my ego aside and I reached out to her, and she's a little older than me, and I feel like one of the reasons why we connected was because we both had issues with our mothers. And I don't know where she's at with her relationship with her mother, but I know that, you know, I'm still working on my relationship with my mom too. But one of the things that she said in our conversation was that she was trying to transition into, you know, a different space in her life, and she was like, I can't keep looking to my mom and my grandmother for answers because they don't know, you know, like, and we think that they know because they're our parents and they raised us, and, you know, we weren't poor, we weren't homeless, you know, so you thinking like, okay, she has all the answers. And that's where I get caught up with my relationship, you know, with my mothers, and it's kind of translating over to my relationship with my friends too. But it's like I'm looking to her to answer my question, but she doesn't have the answers. So that's where a lot of, you know, the conflict comes in, because it's like, you know, I'm having this issue or problem, and you know, the only person that can really resolve the problem is me. You know, like, I can't expect other people to figure it out for me. And, you know, that's one of the things I got to work on, is like, you know, not being dependent of other people, you know? And one of the things I've been thinking about lately is that one of my issues is I share too much.
You think
Not
so?
like in a bad way, but it's like, these are my friends. Like, I want to let them know what's going on. And I have to work on my boundaries too. And speaking up and advocating for myself, because it's like I could tell somebody something, but I don't need your opinion. I don't need your advice. Like, and I have to do a better job at saying to people, like, look, I just need you to listen. I don't need for you to, tell me what you would do, what I shouldn't do, and that's where I'm like, I'm in a transition period in my life. Okay.
You should get some cards.
You think so?
Yes, because it will help you ask yourself.
Okay.
As opposed to, I mean, and you can still get readings, like, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But like I just use my cards. If I have any questions, I just ask them.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say they can't read themselves, but I'm like, if you just relax with it, like, and just pull the cards, interpret them how you see them,
Right.
But I think that might be a Gemini trait too, of not wanting the response from people. Like, I don't care what you say. I'm just talking. I'm just communicating,
Yeah, I'm talkative. So it's like I do talk a lot and I talk to my friends a lot. And so in return, a lot of them, they think like they're trying to fix me. And it's like, that's where I get caught up and I'm like, oh, this person thinks X, Y, and Z, and they said not to do this or whatever. And it's like, here I am, not, like you said, being my true self and listening to myself and listening to what I want to do or what is best for me, based on what I have going on internally,
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, my desire is to really stop caring. And and one thing, like, my financial, situation, that's another reason why I feel like I be, spending so much money, is because I care about what other people think.
You feel like, just like what we were talking about, like with all of this, like, you're
Yeah.
like, it got to be like XYZ or XYZ. Like, it would benefit you to just redefine what all of this shit means to you.
Right.
And when you're doing it, like I said, is this my voice?
Right.
Or is this somebody else's voice? Because at your core, especially in a Gemini space, you don't really care about that.
Yeah.
So operating from that place is taking you away from your truth, which
Right.
automatically, and just like if you listen to Esther or Abraham, my bad, will tell you that's when you're furthest away from source.
Right.
When you're not operating as yourself.
Right.
And then another really important thing too is to realize that, like, you are now an adult. So you have already hit at least the level of wisdom on some level as those older women that you went to, because we have a whole new terrain that
Right.
they will never even see.
They will never experience. And
Right.
and like, even with, I love my mom. I love everybody in my family. And as I'm getting older, I'm realizing that the older women in my family, they more than likely won't change. Especially my grandmother. She's about to hit 90 years old soon. And she's still doing the same shit that she was doing 30 years ago.
Right.
And no shade, I love her. Because I spoke to her earlier this morning and she was on some bullshit. And I was just like, girl, this is why I don't talk to y'all. Because y'all do too much. And it's like, I can't tolerate the shit anymore. Like, I'm being protective because I'm just thinking about, like, I don't have children yet, but I be thinking about my unborn children, and I think about, do I want to involve them in this type of shit?
Yeah.
No. And the answer is no. So if the answer is no for them, it needs to be no for me too. Like, you can't be over here with that. And if you don't want to change, then you could just stay over there. But not to get off on a tangent. But one of the things Abraham said in that podcast, she said, being understood by those around you is the primary way to add pressure and resistance to your experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like,
synchronicity too, because let me tell you what I just shared on Facebook. It just says people who become obsessed with astrology, psychology, and personality types are the kids who were never understood at home. They try to understand you every detail because it would mean the world to them if someone would have done the same for them. It's a love language. And this what I wrote. To be completely honest, I used to tell that story of nobody understood me, called me weird, and I often felt victimized by the word. But in my truth today, this day, I don't need to be understood by the rest of you as long as I understand myself and can accept the differences that have made me this very unique and gifted individual. So,
Right.
like, fuck them. You know what I mean? Like, they're
Right.
not going to understand you.
Yeah.
And they really are meant to.
Yeah, for sure. And you said earlier, you was like, you asked the question, do people like me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that made me think about another. I follow this. I don't know if she's a therapist. She may be a therapist, but she studies friendships,
Mm-hmm.
and like that was her field of study. I think when you get your doctorate, you pick one thing you want to study, whatever. So she studied friendships, and she did a podcast. I think it was last week, and I listened to it because I'm really interested in friendships because I'm, as an adult and being here in Houston, like I have to create my own support system,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to figure out if I'm going to have, if I'm picking my own family, which is friends, like how can I be a better friend?
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, one of the things she said was, you have to assume that people like you.
Yeah.
No matter what. Like you gotta walk in the room like I'm that bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Like Beyonce, I'm that bitch, yeah.
Right.
What she said. But and sometimes it's hard,
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it is challenging. I'm not gonna lie, because there have been times where I thought my personality was too big for other people. And I thought, that's why nobody invites me anywhere, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take up too much attention. But it's like, I'm not doing anything but being myself. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to dim anybody's light. I don't put other people down, or if I did in the past, I'm sorry. But where I'm at now, I'm not putting other people down. Like, I'm just, living my life. And sometimes I hold back because I think other people won't like it or they won't accept it,
Mm-hmm. So I was there, as I said, and the number one thing that helped me in that position was, number one, and this will help you be a better friend too, was to be my friend and to, at my core, like me, because I didn't.
Right.
There were so many things that I thought were a problem. Oh, you're like this. This is why, like I said, oh, you're weird. You be talking about esoteric stuff. Other people don't want to hear about that. You like 60s music. You're weird. All the things that I was abusing myself about for the last 36 years, or when I decided it sucked, probably for the last 30 years, that because I used to get in trouble for doing the things that brought me joy. So I was like, well, just don't do that anymore. And if you start doing it, I'm gonna kick your ass. This is me to me,
Right.
So I had to turn that voice into a friend. So like I use mirror work or those kinds of things because I didn't really know how to have relationships with other women or men either.
Yeah.
So I just had to build a relationship with myself that would allow me to have the foundation of relationships.
Right.
This is what feels good. This is what's positive. This is what's negative. If somebody makes you feel like this, then that's not for you. And then I also realized that nobody could ever be more mean to me than I had been to myself.
Nobody.
Absolutely. Nobody. Like, so, what can you do to me that I haven't already done to me?
Right.
I'm not afraid of you. I'll just come.
Yeah.
Right.
We got to do, well, I shouldn't say that. I'm doing better. I'm on the path to do better. And, I'm finding things are, I feel like every year I level up in my life, and I feel like this is the year where it's like, I'm really going to stop caring about what other people think. And I'm also going to start telling people to leave me the hell alone,
Yeah.
It's like, I'm at the point where it's like, I'm very extroverted, right? And I remember in 2019, like I was like, I wanted to be intentional about maintaining friendships, so I would be reaching out to people. I'd be like, once a week, I'm going to reach out to so-and-so or whatever. And like, I'm at the point now where it's like, I don't reach out to people as much because like, I don't want people in my space, and I don't want their energy in my space because people project.
Right.
People project a lot, and I'm noticing that more and more when it's like I don't say as much, and people they just be saying all this shit, and I just be like, where did that come from?
Right. Just like what you were saying too about your friends or your family who might say something about what you bring them to vent. I mean, they're responding from their, well, this is what I would do.
Right.
Or a lot of time people will project and their guilt that they might feel about, like, let's say you decide to do something freeing. If that would make them feel shame to be that free, or if they're jealous of your ability to free yourself, then they'll start that shit too.
Yeah, for sure. Do you listen to it? I feel like society is a myth, but have you ever felt like you listen to what society tells you to do, aka the internet?
I used to.
Yeah.
For certain.
Mm-hmm.
Feeling like I had to be this type of mom, or, I had to be subdued. I needed to wear my hair straight. I needed to get a great job with awesome health insurance, which, I mean, obviously I have a special needs child, so I do need the health insurance. So while I am transitioning out of my job, I'm holding on to it a little bit longer. Thank you, God. And I think that is the number one reason probably why people project on others and why we do concern ourselves with what other people think, because we're trying to fit into the group.
Right.
Yeah.
And
that is what society says is acceptable. So if you are like me, like you, that's different and is quote unquote weird, then you feel like I have to suppress my truth so that I can fit in with the group. I don't want to stand out any. I mean, that was for me specifically. I didn't want to stand out because I felt like it was always getting me noticed, and I'm like, why are you looking at me?
Right.
But I mean, obviously it can be helped because I show up and I'm like, did you know you're cosmic?
Right. You're a star.
Yes. And you came here to express God and be a light beam. Which is the truth, and it's like, I shouldn't be afraid to say that or to tell people what I'm sensing energetically or feeling in my body about them. Right. And when I was a little girl, I would be like, blah, blah, blah. And people would be like, first of all, I don't know you. Secondly, get out of my business. And you're weird.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm weird.
Yeah.
And the diagnostician was telling me today that, she and my daughter were talking about, what they don't like or whatever. And she has this tattoo that she doesn't like. So Kayla was like, is that a tattoo? Right at the time they were discussing things they don't like. And I said, yeah, she does that. She will target something and be like, I know that's bothering you. And I want her to use that gift, but I want her to be able to use it for good and not to manipulate or hurt others, because it's very easy to fall into that.
Yeah. I'm glad that she has that gift, and I know you're gonna make sure she uses it wisely, because kids are really, really smart. Children are really smart, and I'm glad that she's doing that.
Well, she does it to me negatively. So that's, I mean, like I told you, like we've been bumping heads, but I told her last night, I said, because the other day I was in the kitchen and I was like, I should get a new coffee maker, but I didn't say it out loud. And we got to Walgreens. She was like, we can get a coffee maker. And I'm like, get all my business,
Right.
But like, she will also do it like if she can tell that I'm not feeling well, or if I'm stressed, or if I'm feeling overwhelmed and I'm trying to rest, she's like, what can I do to make this bitch explode? And I'm like, please don't do that, because I'm not going to explode on you. I'm going to explode on me.
Right. Yeah.
Because I don't want to explode on you. And I'm not trying to experience that self-abuse because of this. Like, so like, we got to stop the power struggle. Like, just like you said, like, even though they don't know everything now, when you were little, there was a certain level of wisdom that your grandma and your mother possessed. So right now, let me get you to the point where I am. And then maybe you can go learn something and come teach it to me. But right now, today, I'm the mama.
Right.
And I think we probably had a past life where she was in charge. So it's very difficult for her to process the fact that I am in charge
right now.
Like, I'll hear her say sometimes, I guess I just have to be the little girl. And I'm like, I guess you do. Because you are.
Right. That's where you at right now.
In this physical experience, you are the child.
Right.
And I am to help you not manipulate others for evil.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So
I can't wait till you tell her these stories when she gets older. Older. That would be really funny. That made me think about did you watch Girlfriends?
Yeah, I used to watch it sometimes. I mean, I watched it enough to know.
Okay. That made me think when you were just talking about how people were thinking that you're weird, whatever, you listening to society. That also made me think about Lynn from Girlfriends.
Yeah.
Because I watched it when I was younger. I think it came out when I was in middle school, high school. But I didn't really understand. Like, I knew that I related to Lynn, but I didn't know how, And so when I watched it this past year, it made me think about, and Lynn, everybody's saying like Lynn is a bum. She, she mooches off her friends, and like her friends were telling her like, get a job, Lynn, and she was like, I don't want a job. Right. And there's nothing wrong with not having a job. And like, she was so misunderstood. And I'm like, no, Lynn, I understand you.
See, but that's why I wonder, are you holding yourself? I know you say you want stability right now, but it's like the why behind it, because there is a part of you that does want that freedom. And maybe is it too, and I'm not trying to read you, I'm sorry. Is it like that you feel like it might be too hard to get that stability in that entrepreneurial space?
Yeah, because even like doing freelance stuff now, it's like I was reflecting on it, and I was just like, I like the freedom, but this is something I have to work on, like trusting the process and being okay with the process and getting through the process and being patient. And like, I'm not there yet. And so for me, I don't like freelancing 100%. Like, so that's definitely something that I'm going to have to work through. Because I'm like, yes, I don't have a job to go to now. And I was, I'm relieved that I don't have to report to or fuck with these people anymore, but something is missing. And so I have to figure that out, like what exactly is missing and like what I need to do to, have it appear in my life, because freelance, you have to depend on other people, and it's like, it's cool, but
do you have contracts with the clients?
I do, but it still feels like a sense of dependency, if that makes sense. Like, because even though I have a contract, like, I could have a 3-month contract, but this person could decide not to sign it again for another 3 months, or, my invoice could say on this date, I need you to pay, and you pay a week later, and it's like, I don't know if I really want to deal with that right now, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
because even though like, I can't make people do anything, you know, at the end of the day, like, I have to work on, you know, my manifestations and my energy and my thoughts and everything. Like, I know that's something I have to work on, but I'm just like,
I mean, all of that will come to you. You're where you're supposed to be right now.
mm-hmm.
You know, like, this might be the time period in which you realize how to trust. You know,
Yeah.
like, I'll tell you about my friend again from Clubhouse. Like, he was saying he was going to get 2 jobs. And this is like last month, kind of right after we had started the room.
Mm-hmm.
And he was kind of not feeling good about it. And I just told him, I said, you know, for me, it's about the vibration of it. So if you're going into this with this negative vibration of, this is what I have to do, and then you're going to encourage yourself through that, that's fine. But if this is not what you really desire, why not put that out there and then receive?
Right.
So, like, now he has some other opportunities that are going to present him with the next steps to what it is that he really, really wants to do. And then that will provide him with income. Because a lot of time what we're doing is using this physical reality and our understanding of life to try to format and design what is really divine. You know, like, we don't have to over plan. You
Yeah.
literally just have to say, this is what I desire. I believe and trust that you will deliver to me if it is in alignment.
Right.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
like, it is really that simple. And it sounds like that's ridiculous, but it does work that way, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely, you know, with the readings and visiting our Little Red One Shop pretty often. I feel like I'm there weekly, but
Yeah. I just sent somebody up there today, actually. She wanted to get some sage.
really, I'm definitely moving into a space where it's like, okay, you know, this is where I'm at. This is what I need to do. This is what I need to work on, and be okay with that and trust myself and have faith. And so I'm just trying new things, you know, in this season of my life to help me to move to the next level of my life. And a lot of that is like, you know, I want to eliminate the conversations that I'm having with people, especially like, you know, I want to start speaking to people that are more mature in their spirituality, you know, because I feel like these people, I'm not saying that they have it all together, but it's like they have a little bit more knowledge than I do. And it's like, you know, that's where I'm at. Like, I don't go to church. I don't believe in Jesus. I don't believe that Jesus is my Lord, my Christ, and my Savior. I know about Jesus. I read about Jesus. I study about Jesus, but that's not where I'm at in my journey. So, you know, I want to connect with more people that are like you, like Michelle. And, you know, that's why I've been going to the shop, because I'm just like, these are people that are doing the work and are active in their work, and they can help me and assist me and guide me. And so they're giving me practices and things to do that I feel like has been helpful, you know, even though it's only been like a few weeks, a month or whatever, but it's been helpful for me to, like, you know I have the power in how to do it correctly too. Yeah. So I'm excited about that. But I want to leave people, you know, with some things to think about when you care too much about what other people think.
Okay.
Remember that nobody cares, you know, not in a bad way, but it's like no one really genuinely cares about what you're doing, you know, and the internet is not always going to be your friend. So you need to curate and connect with people on social media or whatever you use that motivates you. I'm not going to say like, oh, these people have to be super positive because, you know, like I said on the Instagram page, positive, not everybody's going to be positive. Not everything is going to be positive, but, you know, have people that motivate you. Understand your values, understand who you are, really ask yourself what your values are and meditate on that, sit with that, think about that. And last but not least, mind your business. Mind your business and stop worrying about what other people are thinking, because if you worry about what other people are thinking, you know, that's going to take away from whatever it is that you got going on in your own vicinity in life and area, whatever. So stop. You have anything you want to leave the people with?
In regards to what people think, recognize when somebody is projecting on you. Realize when you are projecting, and understand that you create your reality. So what you focus on grows. So if your focus is on the people who are against you, then of course you will attract more experiences where you feel like people are attacking you. So
right. I agree. So I want to thank Michelle for coming again. I appreciate you and your energy, your time, your effort. What do people need? Oh, they need to subscribe to the podcast, follow the podcast on Instagram, share, review the podcast. Let me know what you think. Let's talk, let's chat. And yeah, we going with the flow this year, but we still gonna be intentional.
absolutely.
Yes. All right. So thanks for listening, and you guys have a great rest of your weekday, evening. All right. Peace.